This was supposed to be the worst video that I've ever made, but I decided to challenge myself and see what's the best that I can do with what I have. So I spent 2 weeks working on this video and tried to make it as good as I could, going to new lengths of challenge and even creating a remixed song just for this video. Did I succeed or fail? I'll let you be the judge. In the end, this is how it started and this is how it's now.
Hi guys, this is Valentin. I'm a 21-year-old multiple six-figure coach, and on this channel I share with you all the gold nuggets that I learned from working with more than 800 people, a bunch of millionaires, and invested over 100,000 euros to myself. Subscribe to see how. There is a pattern that can kill anybody's confidence, and I've seen it all. Like I've seen to middle-class men up to multi-millionaires. I've seen it to students, to teachers, to old and to young, women and men. I've seen it like in all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds. And this is like the biggest confidence killer that I ever seen. And it's actually the hardest one to solve also. And this confidence killer, it's called attachment. Let's say, for example, you like a girl and you like to talk with her and you're having a conversation with a beautiful girl that you feel attracted to. Well, if you have attachment towards her, most likely from experience, you know what happens. She rejects you. Let's say you have like a business deal and you're negotiating a new position or a new work that you like to do. Well, again, if you're attached to the result, if you really want that new promotion, that new income, well, you're gonna have a hard time negotiating. You're gonna be attached, you're gonna have emotions involved, and most likely you're gonna fuck it up. People, when they have attachment, they just fuck things up because they don't have the distance enough in order to think clearly, to analyze things logically, and just to make proper logical decisions. Why do we get attached? The biggest key here is understanding that we're not getting attached to the result. It might seem that way, but it's not actually the truth. We're getting attached to something that is much more profound, much more deeper. Something that everybody will defend with their life. Something that everybody will just be strapped to. And that thing is called identity. Some people might call it ego. Some people might call it a mask, an avatar, an alter ego. Call it whatever you want. But it's the image that you have about yourself, and it's the self-view that you have about yourself. And you're gonna get triggered here. But before you unsubscribe, leave a dislike, a hateful comment, and just disappear forever, give me the benefit of the doubt and just hear me out. You are not who you like to be. And most likely you are not who you think you are. You are an exaggeration of a trait of character that you really wanted to have. From a very young age, we receive feedback from this world, all sorts of feedback, depending on the actions that we do, depending on the choices that we make. And we come to this world knowing nothing. Like we're just a clean slate, a clean hardware that we're gonna program later. And based on trial and error, based on the experiences that we have, we're gonna receive certain feedback that are going to influence the trait of characters that we're gonna show up later. So let's say, for example, as a child, when you were crying, your mother, your father, your brother were telling you, either making fun of you, either telling you like, men should not cry, like you gotta be strong, like stop crying. And let's say the same you, next day you're going to kindergarten or to school and you're playing a football match and you score some goals. And your father is telling you, yes, I'm proud of you, son. That's my son. What view of the world and what belief you think that person is gonna create in their head? And now let's take, for example, same person, same child, and he's constantly being terrified by his mother. He's constantly being screamed on because he's not doing things right, because he's not acting in a certain way, because he's not making the tasks and the requests in a certain way that's expected of him. What do you think would be the view world and the belief system that that child would have? And now what I'd like you to think about is the fact that who you are today is just an exaggeration of the traits of character that caused suffering when you were little. If you were weak and felt pain and rejection for being weak when you were a child, you're gonna strive to be as strong as possible growing up and having as much power as possible, be it physically, be it emotionally, be it status, be it money. If you were a very bad communicator when you were little and you didn't feel understood by the others, and you felt like an alien into this world, you're gonna strive to be the best communicator possible. And you're gonna try to understand and tweak your message in a way that people understand you and just get you. And the thing here to see is that that identity that people protect with their life, that ego, is not their real identity, it's the mask that they put on to avoid the pain that they felt when they were a child. Because if you're listening to this video and if you're here right now, chances are that you and I, we lived some fucked up experiences. Chances are that it was painful. At some point it was really painful. And we associate that pain with the actions and with the character traits that we had. And we try as adults to avoid that pain as much as possible. And because we don't want to live that pain ever again, we try to not be that fucked up little boy that we were before. We're trying to be something different, something better that received validation while growing up. So that identity that people get attached to, and that most likely you get attached to, it's the opposite traits of character that caused you pain when you were little. And you're gonna develop these characters in the same exponential, symmetrical extent that you felt pain. The more you felt weak when you were a child, the more you're gonna strive to be strong as an adult. The more you felt misunderstood as a child, the more you're gonna strive to be a better communicator. We're always gonna try to compensate as adults what we lacked as childs. And that's the alter ego that we develop and that we get so attached on. When you're not getting the result that you want, it's not the fact of not getting the result that bothers you. It's the fact that you not getting the result, it's a confirmation from the outer world that you're not who you like to be. That alter ego is not you. And we're not attached to the result, we're attached to that identity that we built about ourselves to protect ourselves from the pain that we felt in the past. It's not the fact that the girl rejected you that's bothering you. It's the fact that her rejection means you don't have value, means you're not enough, means that maybe you're still weak, maybe you're still not handsome, maybe you're still a bad communicator, maybe you're still a failure. And that's the thing that scares you. And that's why you want the girl to like you. That's why you want that result. It's not that the fact that you didn't get the business deal that's bothering you, it's the fact that not getting the business deal, it's a proof that you're still a failure. And that's the thing that hurts you. Realize that the result doesn't matter. You don't care about the result. You don't really care about the outer outcome. What you care about is protecting your self-image. Protecting and reassuring yourself that you're not that fucked up version that you were before, that you're not gonna feel that pain ever again. And that's what you're trying to protect so deeply. And that's why people argue so bad. That's why people get invested. That's why people get triggered. Because their ego and that alter ego is invested. And that's the most painful thing. And that's why we defend it with our life. That's why you see people arguing, screaming at each other. That's why we get angry. Because deep inside ourselves, we don't believe that we're something different. Deep inside ourselves, we're still afraid that we are still that little boy or little girl, that we are still feeling bad, that we're still not enough, we're still weak, we're still failures. That's what we're running away from. And that's what we're trying to counter with the outer results. Start realizing that you're not attached to the result. You're attached to maintaining the integrity of that alter ego that you built. And that the results don't actually matter. How do you get rid of this parasite, of this confidence parasite, of this attachment? Well, the process is quite simple, but it's not easy. First thing, you gotta go back to that old version of yourself that you don't like. You gotta go back and see what do you despise so much in that version of yourself. Because you see, we humans, we want to be just one thing. We'd like to have only beautiful and amazing character traits. But the thing is that that's not possible. And this is why it's so hard for people to swallow this, because your identity and your alter ego that you create, it's not realistic, because there's no way you're gonna be only one thing. This world is bipolar. You have night and you have day. You have black, you have white. You have sun, you have the moon. You have feminine, you have masculine. Everything is bipolar. So you cannot be only one thing. You cannot be only strong, only successful, only amazing. You have some parts of you that they're less attractive, and you cannot despise that. You have to accept that, because there's no way you're gonna be that perfect, amazing version that you strive to be. And the biggest thing here is that you don't even strive to be. You just want to be it like that. So when you don't get the result that you want, what triggers you is the fact that you are not the version that you'd like to be right now. But the thing is that, first of all, that version is possible, and secondly, you cannot be it right now. You have to go through the fuck-ups and through all the work in order for you to get there, at least as close as you'd like to get there. Now, a big factor to this is also comparison, especially in the social media world, where you see all of these people and you compare yourself with them. But the thing is that on social media, everybody shares only the best sides. Like even this video, you're just seeing the good cuts. But to have one good cut, there are couple tens of bad cuts that go into it. So you're only seeing like the end results. You might compare yourself with somebody in your social media and there goes the car. And this shot is gonna be ruined. So this is what I'm talking about. Back to the video. You compare yourself with everyone that you see on social media, but everybody on social media just shares the good shit. And you think everybody is good, everybody is perfect. And you compare yourself with that amazing version that you see of them. But the thing is that they just share the good points, but they also have bad points. And you're not aware of their bad points. You're only aware of your bad points. And you're aware also of your good points. So you compare an imperfect version of yourself with a perfect version that you see outside on social media. And it's normal for you to feel bad because you cannot compete with that. But the thing is that everybody has bad points. And this world is polar, so you cannot be only what you want to be. So the first step to get rid of this parasite is you have to go back to that old version of yourself and realize that there's no way you're gonna get rid of it completely. And as bad as it can hurt, you have to accept that there's gonna be a certain percentage of that that's gonna still be here with you forever. And to give you another example for this, let's say you want to learn a new skill. Well, there's no way in hell you're gonna be amazing at that skill right away. You're gonna have some fuck-ups with that skill. You're gonna have some points where you're gonna fail. So the idea of you being able to avoid the character trait or the event that caused you pain during your childhood, it's impossible. You're not gonna be able to avoid it 100% of the time, every single time. You have to go through it. So the first step to get rid of the parasite is accepting the inevitable dose of that event. The root cause of this attachment, as we talked before, is the pain that you felt during your childhood. But that pain is related to one big core fear. Fear of being weak, fear of making mistakes, fear of conflict, fear of being useless, fear of not being special, fear of instability, and fear of intense emotions. So, which one is yours is the one that resonated the most. The one that revealed the most, the little bubble in your belly, is the one that is yours. And once you identify this fear, this is kind of like your little demon that you're gonna have until the end of your life. What I mean by this is, there's no point where you're gonna be finally enlightened, where you're finally gonna be whole, where finally you're not gonna have any more problems and you're gonna feel just amazing all the time. You're gonna have a certain dose of this fear all the time. And what I mean by this is, like in the previous example with learning a new skill, there's always a constant dose of inevitable failure. No matter what you do, you're gonna have failure in your life. No matter what you do, there's somebody who's gonna be stronger and better than you in some field. So getting attached and trying to be the opposite of what you've been during your childhood, there's no point to it, no logical point. It's just a waste of energy, time, and resources. And you better use that time and resources of one, accepting that you're never gonna be that version that you want to be, and secondly, trying and striving to improve the current version of yourself the most that you can. And this is also a big thing that I've seen even to my highest advanced clients. They have a certain image that they picture in their mind of who they'd like to be. And they want to be that person right now, instantly. But the problem is that when you're focusing on the version that you'd like to be, you're focusing on the space that you have between you today and that version. Because the more you think, I want to be that person, the more you reinforce the fact that today I'm not that person. And the more you create distance between who you are and who you like to be. And that creates, guess what? Scarcity. And scarcity creates, guess what? Attachment. And again, the more attachment you have, the more fucked up choices you're gonna make and the less chances you have to achieve your goals. Now, going back to the core fear. Let's say during your childhood, you've seen a lot of violence and a lot of conflict in your family. Maybe between you and somebody from your family, maybe between your parents. Well, you'll develop an inner profound fear of conflict, which means that in the future, you're gonna try to make everybody as peaceful as possible and avoid conflict at all costs. The problem with this is that, again, you cannot avoid all the conflict all the time. There is a dose of conflict that's inevitable, whether you want or not. And because you're afraid of conflict, you're not gonna be able to set the boundaries that you want, to tell people to fuck off when they need to fuck off, to just be yourself and have an environment and a bubble where you feel you because other people are gonna step in your bubble and they're gonna dictate you how you have to live. For another example, let's say that in your childhood you were constantly rewarded for performing and being successful, for being the best in sports, being the best at school, being the best at everything. Well, you're gonna strive to be the best high performer possible. And that might sound sexy, but the thing is that, and I've seen this with millionaires, they want to be as highly successful as possible, but the problem is that, again, there's a certain dose of failure, of reality, of slowly steady progress that you cannot control. Which means that when they want to be the best version possible, they want it right now as fast as possible. But there's the matter, this world that we live in, that has rules, and that has time, and that has matter. And it's kind of hard to go extremely fast when you start something from scratch or from the beginning. So wanting to be the best high performer version of yourself can also be penalizing for you. And this core fear that you have is going to shape every single thing. Your identity, who you're gonna marry, the job that you're gonna have, the friends that you'll have, the type of sport that you're gonna play, everything. And it shapes not only you, it shapes your view world, how you perceive the world. And guess what? Everybody's shaped the same way depending on their fear. And this is, in some shape or form, what governs the world. And when you know more about your fear and also about the others, this is very funny because you can know what buttons you should touch and trigger to everyone to make them do the things that you want to do, but that's another topic. But going back to today's video about healing the demon, you have to accept the brutal reality of being a human being. You have to accept the limits of a human being and the fact that you cannot be that alter ego that you created. And there's going to be a dose of inevitable failure, weakness, conflict. Whatever you're afraid of, there's going to be a dose of it. So you have to stop running away from it and just starting to embrace it and build your life around it. Now, with that being said, go check the other videos that I made on similar subjects. Don't forget to subscribe and share. This was Valentin. See you in the next video.